Alright, so I made a video about Ho-Oh not too long ago, around 2 videos ago, and it got me thinking, because I was looking at Ho-Oh's history and stuff, and Ho-Oh is one of the best Pokemon of all time, and then I asked myself, I said, who is the best Pokemon of all time, though? Across most of the games, just like the entirety of the franchise, and in both singles, in doubles, 2v2, 1v1, 3v3, alright, 3v3s are irrelevant, but you get the gist. And I was like, who's the best? And I was going to think that that's going to be a hard question, but it wasn't a hard question. I thought of it pretty quickly, and then I started looking into it, and yeah, the answer was obvious. It's Kyogre. And this makes me happy, because when it comes to your like cover art legendaries, the legendaries that are on the boxes of the games, my favorites are Ho-Oh, Kyogre, and Reshiram. And I already talked about how Ho-Oh is one of the best. I'm gonna be talking about how Kyogre is the best. And Reshiram, I'm sorry Reshiram, you look cool. You get a thumbs up from me. Sadly, you're not all too great though. Anyways, so why is Kyogre so good? I have some of the basics around. First of all, just want to mention, his design is really cool. As the ruler of the ocean, it's pretty cool to be a big ol' orca whale. He's got the little elements of red into his design, mixed with the blue and white. It looks beautiful. I've always thought Kyogre looked so cool. Doesn't he look cool? Look at that Pokemon card in the corner. That's such a colorful, interesting little Pokemon card. He's got a cool design. Kyogre's a badass. He's actually one of the first Pokemon I got attached to, because my brother had a cool little Kyogre toy, and I could make his fins flap. Now, when it comes to his stats, we already have a good start. It's nothing too crazy. Actually, his base stat total of 670 is 10 points lower than your standard cover art legendary base stat total. So Ho-Oh, Lugia, Dialga, Palkia, all of them have 680. Mewtwo, you know, whatnot. They all have 680. Now Kyogre and Groudon has 670. That's not a great start. You know, you'd think that 10 doesn't make a huge difference, but I mean, it's a difference for sure. But we have a good start. What the heck's a stort? He's got this really great special attack stat, and he's actually really specially bulky as well. 140 is nothing to sneeze at. That's the same as Mantine, whose whole thing is special defense. This really useless attack stat of 100. Kyogre would be like... Dang, a notification. Kyogre would be the super best, like, for sure go to an unbelievable degree if this 100 attack went into like something else, maybe his special attack, maybe becoming a little faster. It's nothing even important. Stupid notification. Also, when I was testing the audio for this video, I hit a crazy high note that I'm not going to attempt to do again. Sheesh! But oh my gosh, I have better pipes than I thought. But, you know, these stats are a good start. Actually pretty bulky. Even this defense of 90 isn't that bad when you got a solid HP of 100, which is actually much higher than the average. But it's not too crazy. What pushes him over the edge? We see other special attackers with 150 special attack. What's pushing him over the edge? I even just mentioned how Reshiram's kind of not nearly as good. It's got 150 special attack. Well, let's see. Now the first thing I want to mention is the water type has always been one of the best types. And Kyogre is especially amazing at abusing how good that type is. We have to look at his ability. His ability was unique when it was introduced to only him, and only 2 Pokemon have got it since. It is Drizzle, which automatically uses the move Rain Dance by even just coming into the battle. Now this might not seem super overpowered at first if you don't actually understand what Rain Dance does. Rain Dance, in the past, when summoned by Drizzle, would have rain go on for the rest of the turns of the battle unless somebody summoned another weather, and now is from 5 to 8 turns, depending on the item you have. But what Rain really does, we can actually see it down here. The main difference is that Water-type moves are now 50% more powerful. This is a massive boost, and Kyogre's especially amazing at abusing it. Kyogre has the strongest Water-type move that exists, Water Spout. 150 power and 100 accuracy. A lot of more powerful moves have like a 90% accuracy, an 85% accuracy. No, Water Spout and its counterpart Eruption, they don't have to worry about that. Its gimmick is that the lower your health is, the weaker the move gets. Well, you know, pop something on that makes Kyogre a little faster, like a Choice Scarf or something. It's going to be going first multiple times and abusing that full 150 power water move with the 50% boost of Rain Dance, and then also the 50% boost from it being the same type as itself. So Kyogre is just constantly spitting these 300 damage water nukes with no downsides. Absolutely no downsides. It's like using the move Explosion, except it's even more powerful, and there's no downside. So many other moves have to have insane downsides for being so powerful, but this crazy combination that Kyogre gets going of Rain boosted Water Spout is crazy. And when it comes to, for instance, like double battles, yeah, Water Spout hits both opponents. So Kyogre just gets to, boom! Nuke them both. That has to be a lot of water coming from him for it to be that powerful. It's pretty cool. Now, there are a couple other things that Rain Dance does. The most important thing for a Kyogre is the boost to Water-type power. It also is great for team building, because he can put on other Water-type teammates, other Water-type Pokemon, that have the ability Swift Swim. So now he has these teammates that are super fast and are getting that Water-type power boost as well. So he helps enable other overpowered Pokemon while also nuking things on his own. And Rain Dance also just happens to make the incredibly inaccurate but powerful moves Thunder and Hurricane 100% accurate. Actually, not even 100% accurate, it becomes infinitely accurate. So even if you use something like Double Team, you're still getting hit. Now, Kyogre doesn't learn Hurricane, but it does learn Thunder. So that's amazing coverage for it to hit other water types that resist its water type moves. And just as many other water types do, Kyogre learns Ice Beam, which helps it hit the grass and dragons that resist its water. So Kyogre gets to take its incredibly great special attack stat of 150. It could even boost that with a Choice Specs if it wants to. And it also just happens to have one of the most powerful moves to combo with it, and coverage to boot. It is an incredible combo that has completely shifted whatever metagame Kyogre is in around it. Think about it. When you have something that is just killing any Pokemon that's in front of it, you have to now start building your teams around this specific threat. And it still ends up being especially amazing. No other Pokemon can really abuse it to this level. For instance, look at the other Pokemon that have Drizzle, the other Pokemon that summon Rain. Neither of them even have Water Spout. Their strongest moves are, I'm pretty sure, Hydro Pump. And Hydro Pump boosted by Rain is pretty powerful, but especially after its nerf in power, 110 times 1.5 is obviously not nearly as good as 150 times 1.5. Kyogre is absolutely better at abusing it. And look at their stats as well. And Drizzle is such an amazing ability, being able to summon Rain automatically, that even trash like Pelipper, look at Pelipper's stats next to Kyogre's. Even Pelipper manages to be in one of the highest tiers, right below where all the legendaries fight. That is incredible. It really is outstanding. So it shows how amazing being able to summon weather just by coming in is. Honestly, I should have even made a slide on why Kyogre is so much better than its counterpart, Groudon. Groudon's not even a fire type, so it doesn't get to abuse the fact that it summons Sun as much as Kyogre does with its Rain. And Kyogre is, Groudon's a great Pokemon on its own as well, just not quite on Kyogre's level. Kyogre's kind of the GOAT. Now, you may even wonder, what about Rayquaza? It's the one that's supposed to counter both of them. Yeah, it does kind of counter both of them, but it's also worse than both of them, because its whole thing is it just kind of like gets rid of weather. Well, what about every other Pokemon that doesn't summon weather? Yeah, Kyogre and Groudon are better against them than Rayquaza. And also, Rayquaza, let me just mention, has 150 attack and 150 special attack. That's the cardinal sin of being a mixed attacker. It means that you're gonna not be able to put stats into other things that could be more useful. What's better? Quick quiz. What's better? Having 150 attack and 150 special attack, or 300 attack? I think that answer is pretty obvious. You want to be, in Pokemon, you want to be way better at one thing than average at a bunch. 90% of the time. There are times where being a kind of a jack of all trades can work out for you, but most of the time, you're going to want to specialize. And a lot of older Pokemon kind of went for this like really balanced stat spread, and the reason that there's a lot of power creep in the recent generations is because they keep introducing crazy new abilities and new moves and stuff, but also they're specializing the stats even more. But by the way, we're gonna get to some of Kyogre's performances, and yeah, Kyogre is still good even to this day. He's keeping up, because I mean, look at what I've already said. It still applies today. Those water spouts still hit like a nuke. Anyways, even despite Kyogre kind of ruling everything ever since it came out, it dethroned Mewtwo as the best legendary the second it came out. In Gens 1 and 2, Mewtwo was the best legendary by far. Gen 3 comes out, what are the best legendaries? Mewtwo's no longer even in the discussion for top 5. Yeah, it's crazy. And Kyogre is the one that took the throne for many generations. Yeah, and then in Gen 6 they decided to buff it. So, because there was a remake of Gen 3 that came out in Gen 6, you know, let's just give all of them new forms. That's totally a balanced and reasonable decision. Yeah, so they made Primal Kyogre. It's crazy. Now, I did say it gets even better, and this is a buff in general, but actually, this was one of Kyogre's lesser performances, because Primal Groudon finally was able to keep up, because its thing makes it immune to water, so it can finally fight its rival decently. And Primal Groudon is just kind of, in general, a little better. And Mega Rayquaza, what they did with that was crazy, and it is definitely better. So actually, Kyogre went from being the best of the three to the worst of the three in this generation. But, I mean, it's fine. It's still unbelievably insane. Base stat total of 770. Only things higher in the entire franchise are Mega Rayquaza and Mega Mewtwo. And I guess Gigantamax Eternamax Eternatus, but that doesn't really count. But yeah, this was a pretty crazy buff. 180 special attack, 160 special defense. Pretty crazy stuff. Now, it's not super duper crazy, because for whatever reason, they decided to buff the crap out of its physical attack, which it's still not using. I guess this was a good balancing decision, because it makes it so Primal Kyogre is not too insane. But it was kind of an odd decision. I think part of why they did that is so that Mega Mewtwo Y keeps the highest special attack in the franchise. Because let's be real, let's lower that attack by at least 20 or 30. and just put it right into that special attack. Heck, maybe even make it faster. Kinda sad to see that its speed wasn't buffed at all. But either way, Primal Kyogre, pretty crazy, pretty amazing. Now, getting on to some of its performances, some of the proof of why it's so good. Let's see. These are some rankings of the best Pokemon in Gen 4 Ubers, where you get to use all the legendaries and stuff, and Gen 3 Ubers, where you get to use all the legendaries. These are the S ranks that only have a few Pokemon, and as you can see, 2 generations in a row, it showed up in the very best of them. Groudon, Latios, and Latias were actually able to contend with Kyogre back in its home generation, but they all fell to the wayside in terms of being at the very top when Gen 4 came out, and guess who didn't? Kyogre. Kyogre stayed amazing, then it was really good in Gen 5, then it was really good every other generation, and then we look at doubles over here. Here are some of the performances of some of the Pokemon in doubles, and Kyogre was in 4th at this time, and this was within this generation. And guess what? That's pretty crazy that it's the 4th most used in the generation where it did the worst. This has been the worst generation for a Kyogre, and it's still good. You should still consider using it, and you still have to consider it as a reasonable threat. Yeah, there's been times where Kyogre was the most used legendary in doubles. I mean, it's always been crazy. Kyogre is extremely good. It is easily the best Pokemon of all time competitively. When you just consider throughout all of the ages, all of the formats, Kyogre just stays winning. It's so good. And I'm so happy to say that because Kyogre's cool. It's so much cooler than most of the other legendaries. I like its design a lot. And it's not a stupid, stinky dragon. Let's be honest. There's too many dragon-type legendaries. I get it's that it's a type that's quite fitting with the title of a legendary, but do you know what the word legendary means? It's like one of a kind. These dragons are not one of a kind, but the rain-summoning, ultra-powerful god of the sea Kyogre is one of a kind. There's nothing like him. He is a true legend. And, oh my gosh, my notifications are scaring me. Stop startling me. I'm turning you off. Yeah, and that notification was useless too. Oh my goodness. Groudon? He's got new competition. There is another sun summoning legendary that came out. Koraidon, who is just better than Groudon. Groudon has things that it can do that Koraidon cannot, but in general, Koraidon is a better Pokemon. Kyogre, still the best rain summoner, still the best at abusing it. You don't have Water Spout like him. Ain't nobody got it. Water Spout is a move, by the way, that is pretty dang rare. Not that many Pokemon have it. And they, of course, put it on the Pokemon that it's going to synergize the absolute best with. It really is crazy. Such a big fan of Kyogre. It can even be a Calm Mind Sweeper, by the way. Raising its special attack and special defense, which were already fantastic, and then sweeping through the enemy team. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, anyways, I just wanted to talk about Kyogre there. He's awesome. Now, he's not quite as cool as Trapinch, who I talked about in my last video, but he's pretty. Yeah, Kyogre's the best Pokemon of all time. And that's all I gotta say. Have a good day.